Hi, my name is Cynthia Escobar. I am from the Toledo University and I will talk about the HPV coverage. The definition. The human papillomavirus is a DNA virus from the papillomavirus family. This is capable of infecting humans. Like all the papillomavirus, the HPV-S established produce infections only in the keratocities or the mucosa. Memories. Most of the HPV infections are subclinical and will cause no physical symptoms. However, in some people, subclinical infections will become clinical and may cause benign papillomas. The premalignant lesions that will drive to the cancer after surgery, vulva, vagina, skin, oropharynx, and anus.
Module 2. Human papillomavirus replication and cell cycle dysfunction. Over 100 HPV types have been characterized by molecular techniques, and about 40 types are able to infect the genital tract. Microtrauma to the squamous epithelium of the cervical transformation zone allows HPV to come into contact with the basal cell layer, where it attaches to the basal cells. The HPV genome is released into the cell and transported into the nucleus for transcription and replication, where it initially remains non-integrated as an extrachromosomal episomal element. During normal basal cell division, 2 daughter cells are produced. One of these remains in the basal layer. The other begins its journey towards the epithelial surface, undergoing differentiation as it moves. When they reach the upper layers of the cervical epithelium, the HPV genomes are packaged into infectious virions, which are lost from the surface during the normal process of desquamation. In daughter cells infected with oncogenic HPV types, of which the classic type is type 16, HPV DNA is integrated into the host cell genome, resulting in increased expression of the viral proteins E6 and E7. These interact with cellular proteins to induce proliferation, and eventually immortalization and neoplastic transformation of the infected cells.
Okay, the application in the medicine. This is of the Jonas Vaccine stones is expanding to the coverage of the cancer associated with the human papillomavirus. The conduct reported result of a randomized and controlled trial of the new 9-valent, the HPV vaccine, versus a quadrivalent HPV vaccine in more than 14,000 young women.
Process of the HPV virus. The cervix is the lower end of the uterus that extends into the vagina and becomes infected with HPV. Microabrasions or small tears sometimes occur in the lining of the cervical epithelium. In a normal cervix, HPV spreads through the cytoplasm of nearby cells and up to the epithelium surface. In an abnormal cervix, instead of remaining in the cytoplasm, the virus enters the nucleus and integrates into the genome of the host cell. The HPV cancer-causing genes E6 and E7 are made into messenger RNA and lead to cellular transformation, which results in uncontrolled cell division. Abnormal cells expressing large quantities of E6 and E7 mRNA multiply from the basal layer of the epithelium, which would be categorized as SYN1, then through the lower half of the epithelium, or SYN2, and ultimately through the entire thickness of the epithelium, or SYN3. Invasive cervical cancer ensues when abnormal cells break through the basal membrane. The first step in any screening test is for the clinician to take a cervical sample. After collection, the brush is immersed and swirled into a vial containing cell preservative. After the high-risk HPV virus comes into contact with the cells of the cervix, the virus enters the cytoplasm. The circular genome of HPV is released into the cytoplasm and in the majority of infections remains as a stable episome. Under certain circumstances, the HPV genome becomes linear and moves into the nucleus of the cell. The DNA from the HPV virus contains 9 different genes. Early genes are designated as E and late genes are designated as L. When the linearized HPV DNA integrates into the host DNA of the infected cell, some HPV genes are lost. Most importantly, the HPV gene E2 is deleted, which shuts off the E6, E7 oncogenes. The tumor suppressor genes P53 and RB exist as proteins in the cytoplasm. When the E6, E7 mRNA is made following the deletion of E2, they are made into proteins which bind to P53 and RB and inactivate their tumor suppressor functions. Cellular transformation ensues, leading in many cases to cervical cancer.
This issue of the virus was saying a metastasis was in the coverage of cancer. Research say with the authors found that the new vaccines have efficacy of nearly 97% against the high-grade cervical and vulvar and vaginal disease. The rate of the HPV types left the 31, the 33, the 5, the 38, the 62, and the 68. Other health problems associated with the coronavirus vaccines include immunosuppressive inflammatory neurodegenerative disorder, suggest that something is causing the immune system to overreact. The detrimental with sometimes fatal. Common side effects of the HPV vaccine is fever, headache, nausea, muscle, and redness. The conclusion. The payment of the HPV vaccine will show that approximately the 70% reduction of the cervical cancer is made possible. The fact that the clinical trials data have not demonstrated to the date that the vaccine has actually prevented a single case of the cervical cancer, nor that they appear overly optimistic surrogate, nor can we say of the extrapolation of the
The immune system protects us against germs that can make us unwell. It makes special blood cells and antibodies which help to do this. The first time your body meets a new germ, your body may not be very good at fighting it. That's because it takes time to make the blood cells and antibodies required to fight off the new germ. It's during this time that the germs can sometimes make you unwell. But a healthy immune system will eventually make the blood cells and antibodies that fight off the germs. Once your immune system has encountered a germ, it doesn't forget. The next time the same germ enters your body, your immune system is able to respond more quickly, destroying the germs before you become unwell. This is called immunity, and that's what the immunization is all about. HPV immunization works by making your body remember the most common kinds of HPV that can cause cervical cancer and genital warts. The HPV vaccine contains little particles that look the same as some of the particles on the outside of the real virus. Because they are only particles, not the actual virus, you can't get HPV from having the injections. They'll just trigger your immune system so you can fight the HPV virus if you need to in the future.
HPV stands for human papillomavirus. This is a virus that is very commonly found in young people, transmitted through genital skin-to-skin contact or through sexual contact. There are many different types, different areas of the body. But in fact, there are about 15 are so-called oncogenic types. That means they have the potential to cause various different anogenital and in particular cervical cancers. Now, most of this infection is completely silent. In other words, when people are infected with this virus, they don't actually know that they've got it. Some types can cause genital warts. Genital warts are benign lesions, they don't cause cancer at all, but they can be common, sexually acquired in few years of sexual activity. Most people are infected with at least one of HPV. Common that we often refer to it as the common cold. Young people.
3-dose vaccine in since then.
Of wat was het met spierpijn? Ik dacht erbij dat binnen alle vaccinaties, als de kinderen klein zijn op het consultatiebureau ook, dan kunnen ze op een paar dagen wat koortsig zijn of niet lekker.
But Kim didn't recover, and the side effects have grown even worse.
Dus in je handen, dus als je wat oppakt, vallen. En als je dan loopt op knieën en alles.
Dan ga je terugdenken en denk je, ja, die klachten zijn toen begonnen. En zo weinig precies doet en wat eventueel bijwerkingen kunnen zijn, dat ik me op Google of wat.
Most common cancer care agency, Kim's chronic nausea, head and muscle aches, right after breast cancer. Since 2008, the so-called HPV vaccine against the disease has routinely been given to 12 and 13-year-old girls all over the world. However, an increasing number of girls say they suffer from side effects. In the Netherlands, a mother of 3 daughters is facing a difficult decision. Her eldest received the vaccine in 2012. Since then, her health has been deteriorating. Meanwhile, a Danish TV documentary highlighted the matter earlier this year. While Japan withdrew its mental recommendation for the vaccine already a year ago.
Vaccinaties, als kinderen klein zijn op het consultatiebureau ook, dan kunnen ze een paar dagen wat koortsig zijn of niet lekker.
But Kim didn't recover, and the side effects have grown even worse.
Rugpijn en stijve nek en zo. En dan krachtverlies in je handen. Dus als je wat oppakt, dan laat je het eigenlijk vrij direct wel gelijk weer vallen. En als je dan loopt, dan klap je soms door je knieën en alles. En dat doet echt pijn gewoon.
Dan ga je terugdenken en denk je, ja, die klachten zijn toen begonnen. En er is zo weinig bekend over de hele vaccinatie en wat het precies doet en wat eventuele bijwerkingen kunnen zijn, dat ik me daar een beetje in verdiept heb. Alleen op Google of wat, je kan er niks over vinden.
According to the Dutch healthcare agency, Kim's chronic nausea, head and muscle aches cannot yet be linked to the vaccine.
Ik wil niet betwijfelen dat de meisjes die klachten hebben en dat dat ook ingrijpend kan zijn en dat het zorgen met zich meebrengt. Maar vooralsnog is niet aangetoond dat het komt door de vaccinatie. En ja, daar gaat het natuurlijk wel om.
But that doesn't change the mother's mind.
Ik heb eigenlijk al besloten dat allebei mijn jongere dochters de prik niet gaan krijgen.
Kim is not alone in this. Thousands of teenage girls have reported feeling seriously unwell after the vaccination. Meanwhile, a Danish TV documentary highlighted the matter earlier this year. While Japan withdrew its governmental recommendation for the vaccine already a year ago.